Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the new American dream. It's no longer in America. So the old American dream has forever been about financial freedom, having money, a nice house, white picket fence, 2 kids, 3 cars, a dog, and it has evolved considerably over the last few years, probably the last 10 years maybe, and it really looks a lot different today. And that is what a lot of people now are saying to us, are like, you're living the dream. It's like, okay, so that's what we're living is not what people used to consider.
No,
the American dream.
The new American dream is now getting out of America when you can, with the freedom to live the life that you want to live, with the money to live the life that you want to live, and being able to do everything you always wanted to do. Because for a lot of people in America, that dream has become very difficult to attain and even more difficult to maintain. So the old American dream, the one that we all grew up knowing about, was based on freedom, based on our freedom as a country, freedom as individuals, freedom as people, and land of the brave, home of the free, that type of thing. You can do whatever you want. But the new freedom that the new American dream is based on is financial freedom. And that is something that has become more difficult and quite hard for a lot of people to maintain into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s in America.
Yes, that, and I think retirees specifically, as you just mentioned, as people are getting older, you're realizing I can't maintain that financial freedom once I retire. Do I have to work forever until I die? I'm going to run out of money because it's become so expensive to live in the U.S.
Exactly. So rewind several decades and everybody had a pension. Everybody knew what they were going to be doing when they were 60. Social Security was different. It was intact. It was a younger age. And it was just pretty easy to know that you had a nice retirement waiting for you at a certain age. And these days, and back then also, costs weren't soaring as much as they are now. And these days you just don't have that. You don't have that certainty. You don't have any of those guarantees that previous generations had. So people have decided to take things into their own hands, and they found out that right now in the world, the way the world is set up, this can be done, and it is amazing to do. So the new American dream is built on not living in America. It's built on living wherever you want, all over the world, and letting that change, just kind of following your heart and living the life that you always wanted to do. Because a lot of people, they want to travel. That's one of the things we hear all the time. I want to travel more. I want to do all the things I ever wanted to do. And now you can do that.
Yeah, and this is actually exactly what we talked about when we were interviewed on the CBS Evening News about this very topic, and talking about that, we've changed. The American dream is different, and the younger generations, are looking now and seeing that you don't have to live your American dream in America. You can take your dream and take it on the road. Pack it up and take it with you. And it's just been an incredible experience to kind of live that out ourselves, as we did have the American dream in the US before we left. So it wasn't even for the reason of not attaining it, it was for the reason of maintaining it later on in life. And we just thought, hey, this is a great opportunity to pick up and try this in other places. And it's been absolutely amazing to not only have the financial freedom, but then on top of that, to have the location freedom as well, to move your dream with you wherever you want. It's an absolutely amazing experience. And it is, obviously you have to work for it to get to that point, but there's so many opportunities now online to continue to do work, even if you want to do that. You don't even have to fully retire if you don't want to, in order to move around the world and live your American dream in this way.
Yeah, I think this is something that retirees pioneered going back a decade or two, where they started to realize there were some cheaper countries they could live in, and they started to try them out, and slowly reports started trickling in that, hey, people are living in Mexico, people are living in Vietnam, people are living in Thailand cheaply, and they're loving it. And that information through the internet has started to come back, and now younger and younger people have realized we can do this too now. So it's something where a lot of people are doing the math, they're crunching the numbers, and they're realizing, I do not want to work for the next 15 to 20 years just to make the money to maintain this lifestyle in the United States. Or they're crunching the numbers and they're saying, I can't even get there. I've looked at what I need to do, there's no possible way I can get there. And it's a quality of life decision, because quality of life comes down to how much are you working versus how much are you enjoying. And there are some people that enjoy work. There are a lot of people who don't. And they're realizing they would like to spend their time. Time is your most precious commodity, and it's not to be spent on something that you don't want to be doing. And people are saying, I don't want to spend the rest of my life living a life I don't want. And they're making this realization that moving out of America, at least for part of the year, makes sense for them to get where they want to be.
Yeah, there's it's actually been incredible, the evolution of this whole movement, and also with the continuing development of the internet and all of the information that we have access to now. I mean, you can easily find out about getting visas to different countries, or if you want to live somewhere long term instead of moving from place to place. So many different options, and they're all open to you because they're literally right at your fingertips. You've got a computer, or you've got a phone, or you can even go to a library and get onto a computer and do the research, find the information really easily. And you'll know, hey, does that country speak English? Do I need to learn a new language to move there? I mean, you can figure out if you can do your online work there, all those different things. Plus, you can find out if there are opportunities for you in other countries as well, which a lot of places do have, some work opportunities to offer as well if you wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, and I think that because there has been a real shift away from pensions in the last decade or two. We've talked to a lot of people who are a little bit older than us, and they have a pension, and they got about 30 years down the road of their work life, and they realized, well, if I work 40 years in this company or this state agency or government agency, whatever it was, then I'll get so much more money that it kind of locks them into this decision that I basically have to put the 40 years in. And so for some of them, that meant they're going to be doing that job until they're 65, 70, and so many less people are locked into that now. It's kind of a blessing to have that pension because the money is great, but it also is not a blessing because it means you're kind of making a foolish decision to not work your whole 40 years. What if you don't want to work your whole 40 years? So a lot of us have been unshackled by that, by not having this pension system, and we're able to invest in our own 401k or our own retirement and not work 40 years in one state or one city or one location or one job. And that is so freeing, and that has really opened things up, along with a ton of other factors that have made this possible. First of which is just the internet and countries opening up to this type of travel and welcoming Americans with open arms to their country, realizing it's good to have people come visit, and they want long-term visitors.
Yeah, for sure. And we actually have quite a few videos here on the channel, and we've got a lot more coming for you as well about different countries that we've traveled to. We also have tons of information on our website, groundedlifetravel.com, where you can look at a lot of these places as well and find out a little bit more information there as well about moving to some of these countries or slow traveling through some of these countries, because that's another great thing too, is the idea of slow travel. When people think about traveling full time. They think about having to move somewhere every week, but you don't have to do that. When you're looking online, you have some great visa options or visa exempt options in a lot of countries where you could stay for 30 days, 90 days, and enjoy that country, enjoy living there for a month or more at a time. And you just have a lot of opportunities with those types of things opening up. So definitely make sure you check out the videos here on the channel, as well as go over to our website, groundedlifetravel.com.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, a couple of the factors have really kind of put the wind beneath the wings of this movement, and that is, one is that English is now really widely spoken all over the world. We have been to tons of countries in the last few years, and only a couple of them would I say there is a language barrier based on what it used to be 20 years ago. Almost every country you'll visit now, you do not need to know any of their language at all. If you're a tourist or just slow traveling, anywhere where you're in a hotel, tourism area, restaurant, anything you want to do, they will speak English. And sure, it is good to learn some of the language, and we definitely try to do that, but I hear people talking about how they're afraid of the language barrier. There really is no language barrier unless you're in Japan. That's really the only major country where there's a language barrier.
Yeah, and really, even then, with the internet anymore and being able to get SIM cards in every country, especially like eSIMs, you can just use Google Translate and have conversations with people that way. So even in Japan, that's essentially what we did. We used Google Translate, probably the one place where we've used it the most. But for the most part, it's really not a problem at all. Like Rob said, we do our best to learn a few things everywhere we go, but we go to so many places, it does begin to be a little bit challenging, or sometimes we mix languages. But it's just what English is widely spoken, so it's one of those things that you can cross off the list as a concern or a worry for moving abroad.
The next thing that's really helped us out recently in the last few years is that the dollar is so strong, and especially right now as you're watching this video, the dollar has gotten so strong this year, and it seems like every time we go to the bank to take money out, go to the ATM, we're getting more money every single time because the dollar just keeps getting stronger, and things are 10 to 20% cheaper across the board in a lot of these countries that we're visiting now than they were 3 years ago because of the dollar. So it's a great time to try this out because these countries are already cheap. Now they're just extremely cheap, like really, really cheap. Give you an example, we were in Vietnam a couple of months ago, and we lose track of what things cost in America because someone will say, oh, it's this, and I was like, how is it that? We went to McDonald's there, get a meal, and I got a cheeseburger, fries, and a drink for $1.64 American. Now, I don't even remember what that cost in the US, but people told me it's not that. So
apparently it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that. We're always...
And that wasn't the kids' meal, that was the regular meal.
We're always shocked when we come back and we're like, what has happened? How are the prices this high? Because we get used to these prices, because not only is the dollar strong, this is a little tidbit that you may not know if you haven't traveled a lot. Companies are overcharging in America because they can. In other countries, they charge less for the same exact product because they can't get away with charging as much, so they don't charge as much. So you'll find things are 30, 40, 50% cheaper in other countries than they are in America, just because they know no one will buy it if it's more. So you got really a double whammy there in America, and when you're living in other countries, you're just saving so much money.
Yeah, it is kind of wild when you're looking at that. I mean, every once in a while, I love coffee, so I usually go to whatever the local coffee places are, but every once in a while, for convenience or whatever purpose, I'll do like Starbucks wherever we are. And I just remember, purchasing a regular Starbucks coffee, that the same beverage that I buy at home, I got in Vietnam, and it was almost $2 cheaper. everything the same, almost a whole $2 cheaper than I pay for in the US for the same coffee. And it's coming, everything's the same.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't know that you were in another country if you stepped into a Starbucks in these countries. You would be like, oh, this is the same as the US, except that the prices are way cheaper.
Yeah, it's really astonishing once you realize that little fact is that the reason you can't get ahead in America anymore is because all these companies have figured out how much you can pay and how much you can pay, and they inflict as much damage on you as possible because they want profits. And they figured it out very easily how much most Americans can pay and still pay it even though they don't really want to pay that much. And that makes it difficult because every single thing you buy is costing you more than it used to. And that's why you just can't get ahead, because you're spending more and more and more every single year to do it. But this dream is a reality in a lot of places for people. And a couple countries we'll outline here. We have guides on all these on the channel here. But places like Vietnam, Thailand, Mexico, Colombia, Portugal, these are ideal places to go try this out.
Exactly. And I think that's the beautiful thing right there of this life. When our kids were little, they loved the books of choosing your own adventure. And that's the beautiful thing about this life is you can choose your own adventure. You choose to go to one of these countries and you love it, you can see if you can stay there longer. If you don't, then choose a different place, choose a different adventure, move to a different place. You can try, like I said, you can take your dream, pack it up, move it wherever you want, whenever you want, and just, basically you're just working within visa restrictions in these countries. But it's absolutely amazing to be able to live this choose your own adventure life. It's the new American dream. All you did was put in a suitcase, took your American dream, put in a suitcase, packed it up, and left America with it.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize one thing is that we're in no way down on America. We are both American. We were born in America. We love America. It's the greatest place to have grown up in the world. But there are things about America that can make it expensive and difficult and cause you some financial pain. And if your life would be better moving around and then coming back to America, that's something to consider. But we are, as patriotic as the next person because we absolutely love our country, have loved living there, and really do appreciate everything that America has afforded us, because that's the thing, is growing up in America, you are afforded things that you don't realize, even just like speaking English fluently or having these opportunities. It is a blessing to have been raised in America, but this is something that we've seen more and more people wanting to take hold of and utilize that in their life to make the last half or even earlier in their life the way that they want to live it.
Yeah, so guys, what do you think? Are you hanging on to the old American dream, or are you thinking more about the new American dream? Discuss it out in the comments with us. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.